What's up, fellow Hoops fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, and as always, brought to you by our great friends over there at topsport.com.au. Now it's Monday morning, already a couple of games in action. We've got BK here as usual to chat all things NBA. And BK, you know what? As a New York Knicks fan, Brooklyn Nets lost again this morning. And you know what? I'm just going to take joy in their misery because we've got nothing to be happy about from now on.
and a Nets loss is a Knicks win.
Yeah, it is. You know what? Like, fuck them, basically.
But at this point in the season.
But look, BK, let's just get straight into it. We're going to touch on that game real quick. We've got another game in action right now. We've got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns playing right now. But the Boston Celtics had a nice little win over the Nets this morning, knocked them out of the top 8 seeding. They're in 9th at the moment. Jason Tatum had a nice little 50-piece, 54 points. And you know what? Boston Celtics are going to be a tough team to beat in a 7-game series, BK.
Yeah, I needed a little convincing from the Celtics after their run at the start of the season, playing that incredible defense. But it's all starting to come together at the right time for Boston. They're building some nice momentum heading into the postseason. And shout out Jason Tatum. He's making these 50 balls pretty regular.
Yeah, well, I saw that he's now tied with Larry Bird for most 50-point games in Boston Celtics franchise history. They've both got 4, so that's shout out to him.
And still just 19 years old.
Yeah. Not bad for a young prospect. But shout out to the Celtics. They really turned their season around because 2 months ago we would... You know, if you told me they would have been in this position, I would have laughed at you. So shout out to them, BK. A team that's got no momentum whatsoever, but maybe they could be getting some momentum. We spoke about them on Friday. We're going to talk about them again because they always seem to be in the news, BK. The Los Angeles Lakers. Now, prior to yesterday's game against Golden State, Magic Johnson, I guess, kind of ripped into Russell Westbrook a little bit. And unlike his generic tweets, he actually went into some pretty good detail over there. He basically said that if the Lakers don't make the play-in, if they don't get out of the play-in round, the Westbrook trade will go down as the worst in Los Angeles Lakers history, BK. We've got the tweet up on the screen right now. He basically said, and he also went on to say, Westbrook, quit battling the press. Take ownership and accountability. I'm tired of excuses. It's time to take ownership now. Just say basically that I've been playing poorly. BK, is this fair? What Magic's been saying about Westbrook?
Hey, look, it's fair because the Lakers are 9th in the Western Conference standings, and this is not exactly how things were supposed to go. But I think it is also a little unfair because they've asked Russell Westbrook to come into this team and basically completely change everything he's ever known in the NBA. So it can't be a big surprise that things haven't worked out the way they have. Russ doesn't have the ball in his hands. He doesn't have the shooters, the rebounders that we normally see him, have success alongside. So I think it's tough to pin it all on Russell Westbrook. But, I mean, he was good against the Warriors.
Yeah, he was. And actually, Magic gave him a shout out afterwards as well on Twitter. He basically, said that he played a really good game. He said, Russell, that's the way you're supposed to play. But to your point, BK, about, Westbrook and the way he's played his entire career, like the Lakers knew that when they traded for him, right? Like the whole world knows what kind of player Russell Westbrook is and how he plays. So I agree with you in that sense that it is kind of on them too, because you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? So you bring him in and then you try to, completely change the way he does play. I agree to your point with that to some degree, but I also feel like Westbrook needs to kind of adapt as well. Does that make sense, BK?
I think that's fair, especially at this point in his career. He hasn't won a title. He's, north of 30 now. This is the time where you do see players tweak and kind of step back and adjust their games. But it's certainly been tough for Russell Westbrook because, LeBron's not dropping 56 every night.
And speaking of LeBron dropping 56 every single night, geez, man, what a performance from LeBron yesterday. He had that 50 piece, obviously, one of only 4 players to have gotten a 50-point game from the age of 37 onwards. And also, he, as we see on the screen, first player in NBA history with a 50-point game before turning 21 and after turning 35. We keep talking about a BK that, at some point, Father Time is going to catch up to this guy, but Jesus Christ, he seems to be outrunning Father Time at the moment.
This is the first L Father Time has taken. I mean, LeBron, what do you say, his first 50-point game came when he was 20. He's 37. That's a 16-year peak.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. That's absolutely.
That's 2 careers.
Like, facts. And the thing is, and again, this is something that we've spoken about. The fact that they're relying on LeBron at age 37 to do this just to keep him competitive is an indictment on the Lakers franchise in my eyes.
Yeah, look, that was not the plan. The plan was for LeBron to be the third option coming into this season. It was supposed to be the AD and Russ show, and then LeBron would pick his spots and then activate come playoff time. But he's had to activate from the jump. But that was just a lot of fun to watch LeBron be in one of those moods, be so aggressive, hitting those long threes and some of the alley-oops, he should not be throwing down dunks like this at 37, but he's still making it look like light work.
And that's the thing. He was doing it. He was getting those points in a variety of ways. I think he was 6 of 11 from 3-point range, dunks, alley-oops, mid-range shots. Like, I was looking at it and I was just like, fam, how are you still good at this age? And also shout out to Nick Kyrgios, who was sitting courtside, got a first-hand glimpse of the king in action, King Kyrgios and King James. BK, I want to ask you, after that win, did the Lakers show us something with that? Because, it was a good victory. We can't take that away from them. Did they show us something? And can they salvage the season from here? And when I say salvage, I mean at least make the play-in rounds.
Hey, look, they did show some fight. And especially in that third quarter, when Russ kind of got them going and they turned things around. And more importantly, they held their nerve down the stretch. There was a lot of opportunities for them to kind of let that game slip. There was that 8-second violation, but then immediately on the next play, they turn around into a alley-oop for LeBron James. So the fact that they didn't kind of break in those moments, I know it's just one regular season game, but at this point for the Lakers, I think they'll take any kind of motivation that they can find. But regardless of beating the Warriors, they're still 9th in the Western Conference standings and some ways away from securing a spot in the postseason.
Yeah, the thing is they haven't played like this consistently, right? Like we've seen them do this for a game or two, and then obviously the struggles begin again. Did you see that clip where LeBron was talking to Stafford, and he said to him, "I had to put on a show because you're in the building tonight." My guy, you need to put on a show every single night, regardless of who's in the building, because this team is going nowhere if you don't.
Hey, from here till the rest of the season, Stafford and Aaron Donald have to be in the crypto arena.
They have to, otherwise the Lakers are going to be super cooked. BK, another team that maybe cooked for the season, or we could be sort of engaging in some hyperbole here, but the Golden State Warriors, BK, they haven't been good recently. They're just 3-7 in their last 10, BK. They've lost 3 in a row now following that loss yesterday. They're tied with the Grizzlies for equal second in the West. They're both 8 games behind the Suns. Have the wheels fallen off, BK?
I don't think the wheels have fallen off. I think people just need to understand how important Draymond Green is to this team. Because you can pinpoint the exact moment this season started to unravel, and that was when Draymond, was hurt. I think it was January 6th. He hasn't played since then. And the Warriors have been awful. I mean, defensively, offensively, they've just become, as Steve Kerr said, pretty predictable offensively without Draymond Green. And he really needs to get back in the lineup for them to have a punching chance this season.
Yeah, Steve Kerr has been pretty vocal about that, and he said that the Warriors' defense without Draymond Green he's been very critical of it. They still have the best defensive rating in the league, but I think that's sort of kind of like propped up by how good they were, in that sort of early part of the season. Because since Draymond's been out, they've been closer to the bottom of the league in defensive rating. They play again tomorrow. They play the Denver Nuggets, and Steve Kerr's already said that he's going to be resting Clay. He's going to be resting Steph as well. I think maybe a couple other guys too. So what do you think the plan is with the Warriors now moving forward as we head into the playoffs?
I think for them, it's just get healthy, get Klay Thompson right, get Draymond Green right. If they finish anywhere in the top 4, I think they'll be satisfied with that, because the Grizzlies are closing in. I mean, the Jazz are still right there as well. So I think for them, they just need to get everyone back on the floor and healthy, because I think for them, they'll feel that they can beat anybody if they're at 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, we didn't expect them to be this high at this point of the season anyway. Preseason, if you'd asked anybody, I think they probably had the Warriors in the bottom half of the top 8 seedings in the West, if that at all. So they've probably exceeded expectations so far. So we'll have to see how that plays out, BK. A team over there in the East that you've been pretty high on all season, the Miami Heat and Tyler Hero. They've been having a pretty good season. Tyler Hero yesterday had his 6th straight 20-point game. Sixers beat the Heat the Heat beat the Sixers 99-82. Tyler Hero has been absolutely tremendous for the Heat this season, averaging a career high 20.6 points in about 30-odd minutes per game, BK. I'm giving you the floor again, because you've been high on these guys from the beginning of the season. Talk to us about the Miami Heat.
Well, let's start with their defense, because to hold the 76ers to under 90 points, I think the Heat, they're 21-1 when they hold teams under 100 points. This defense ridiculous. Is no joke. So the fact that they've been able to withstand all the injuries, all the absences, it has been because of their defense. But Tyler Hero, man, he's the 6th man of the year. I don't think there's any debate about that. But he's done a terrific job bouncing back from what was a pretty ordinary season last year to now being one of the best scorers in the game. I mean, the different combinations and the growth that he's shown, the mid-range shots, he hits a lot of tough contested shots, and they're going to need that kind of scoring in the half court come playoff time.
And the funny thing is, like, the Heat have been able to do these. They're on top of the East. I think they're about 43-22 or something like that. Don't quote me, but they've done this, and they've missed the 8th most games in the league this year due to injury, in terms of like players that they've been missing games, and they're still find themselves atop the Eastern Conference. They're still going to be like making a deep playoff run. BK, what makes them so good defensively that's enabled them to stay so high in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I mean, they have the personnel, but honestly, it's just effort and coaching. The schemes that Eric Spoelstra deploys, he has clear roles for a lot of these guys. They know what they're doing when they're out on the floor, and they're just hustling. Like, I just love watching this team. When they're all in lockstep, they're just such a tough cover. And when you have a guy like Bam Adebayo, that's the central figure of the defense, guys like PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, when he's out there, they just have a lot of very bothersome guys on the floor, and of course Jimmy Butler as well.
Yeah, look, I'm not quite convinced yet that they're going to win the Eastern Conference, BK. I'm still stuck on that Milwaukee Bucks island. I'm going to stay loyal to the Bucks, just like you stayed loyal to the Lakers up until about last week.
How's that working out for me?
But the way the Heat are playing, you know what? They're going to probably change my mind very, very quickly, because, like you said, when they're in lockstep, they are actually a really, really, really fun team to watch, and really, really, really good as well, BK. Let's have a look at some games before we get out of here. 8 games on the NBA slate today. One's already been played, like we mentioned. One is in progress at the moment. So we're going to take a look at some other ones here. We're going to start off with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets. Not much to be said about this game here, BK. The Grizzlies are $1.17 favorites. The Rockets $5.20 for a reason. They've lost 12 games in a row. Jesus Christ. The line's at 10.5. The total's at 237.5. Live on ESPN, on NBA League Pass, BK. Ja Morant, like we said, has been otherworldly. The Grizzlies have got momentum. They're coming for that number 2 seed in the Western Conference. It doesn't even really matter who's playing this game. The Grizzlies are going to win this one by default.
Yeah, take that one to the bank.
Yeah, like we said, not much to be said about that one there. Let's move on to the next game over here. We've got Toronto and Cleveland. This one, actually, I reckon could be kind of fun. No Fred VanVleet. I saw he's going to be out for this game today too. So the Cavs here, $1.49 favorites. Toronto Raptors, $2.66. The line's at -5. Totals at 210.5. This one's live on ESPN. Raptors have had some pretty bad losses over the last week or so. Been spanked a couple of times. They've lost 2 in a row now, 4-6 in their last 10. No OG Anunoby, no Fred VanVleet, like we mentioned before. Cavs have lost 3 in a row, but they're still a pretty good home team. They've got a 19-11 record. I think it could be just a matter of like fatigue and injuries taking a toll on both of these teams right now. But I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one here, BK. I think the Raptors haven't been playing well, and they've got too many guys, or important guys for them, missing for today.
Yeah, that's the tough one with the Raptors is depth really just isn't on their side. So when they do have a couple of key injuries, when you have to kind of look to that second unit, they just don't necessarily have the firepower to kind of replace that. So when VanVleet and Anunoby aren't there, it's tough. So I'm a rock with the Cavs today.
Yeah, like you mentioned, depth isn't there. Nick Nurse has been running short rotations, 7-8-man rotations at times this season, so that's definitely affected them. Let's move on to another game here. We've got New Orleans and Denver. This one's actually interesting as well, BK, isn't it? Because there's some implications for both clubs here. The Nuggets are $1.57 favorites. Pelicans $2.44. Lines at -3.5. Totals at 228.5. Live on League Pass, BK. Pels have won 4 in a row. The way they're playing, and they've been playing well, they're going to overtake the Lakers pretty soon. So this is a 6v10 matchup in the Western Conference. This one could have some, like we said, implications in the standings. No Nikola Jokic and no Austin Rivers. They're both probable, actually, for this game with illness. So we'll see if they end up playing. Denver 18-11 at home. New Orleans 12-19 away from home, BK. If Jokic doesn't play, I like the Pelicans in this one here because they've been playing fantastic. CJ McCollum has been a nice fit for them over there. I'm going to kind of hedge my bet here. If Jokic plays, I'm going with Denver. If Jokic is out, I'm going with the Pels.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pels regardless here. They're rolling. I really like CJ McCollum on this team. They have everything to play for because, as you said, they're right there with the Lakers in the playing picture.
Yeah, and like we joked about off camera before the show started, the fact that we're talking about the Lakers and the Pelicans in a race for a play-in spot is hilarious to me. I'm sorry. It's hilarious. Who would have thunk it? All right, last game we're going to take a look at before we get out of here, BK. Not even much to be said about this one here. The New York Knicks just finding new ways to lose games this season. The Clippers are $1.47 favorites. The New York Knicks 275 lines at -5. Total is at 220 flat. Live on ESPN. I don't want to see the Knicks on national TV anymore, to be perfectly honest, BK. But what more can we say about the New York Knicks? They've not won in 3 weeks. We haven't won a game in 3 weeks, BK. 3 weeks. Like, what do I even... I'm picking the Clippers. Of course I'm picking the Clippers. They're going to win easily. Well,
now that you picked the Clippers, the Knicks are winning
of course.
For sure. But shout out to Ty Lue and the Clippers. He is coaching at an extremely high level because the bodies he has available and what he's doing with that team is pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Clips have got this one.
Yeah, they've been playing super, super good basketball, given the guys that they've got out. I think they've got like a 5.5 game lead over the Lakers as well. So shout out to the Clippers. The Knicks broke my heart the other day in that game against Phoenix. I think I messaged guys in the Slack channel that we've got, and I said we're going to beat the Suns in Phoenix, and then 3 minutes later, Cam hits that shot, and it was all over. Just heartbreak. So I'm officially numb to this season, BK. All right,
it's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah. All right, we've got one NBL game to look at, and we're going to get out of here. We've got the Brisbane Bullets and the New Zealand Breakers tonight. $1.71 favourites, the Bullets. The Breakers, 2.13. Lines at -2. Totals at 170.5. Live on ESPN, BK. Any chance that the Bullets make the playoffs? They're kind of outside the top 4, but they're not that far out. I still think they're going to win tonight against the Breakers because the Breakers are not good. But any chance the Bullets make the playoffs, BK?
Hey, stranger things have happened, and it's got to start with a win tonight. So I'm a rock with them as well.
Yeah, we're both going with the Bullets. I think that one's pretty easy money right there. All right, my brother, we're going to let you go. We'll probably see you again I know we'll see you again on Friday morning. So enjoy the week, my man. Enjoy the hoops, and we'll see you on Friday. This has been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. We'll catch you guys Wednesday morning.